So hello friends, let's discuss the next essay. The real is rational and the rational is real. This was asked by UPSC as part of its 2021 mains on 7th January 2022. So let's discuss this topic. And rather, in this discussion, I would rather be sharing with you the essay script for this topic. And this essay had sent a lot of shock waves in the student communities. Then the question paper, all the topics were philosophical, and this topic along with the topic number 2, I think they were the most philosophical topics. So the topic is not as difficult as it seems. It is difficult as long as you are not able to remove this fact from your mind that it was spoken by a man called Hegel. Forget who Hegel was. Forget his place in history and in his philosophy. Just forget everything and try to address this essay from what you understand by these terms, real and rational, in today's perspective. Okay, so what is real? Real is, in this essay, the meaning of real which I have used in this essay is something which is true, something which is not unreal, something which is not false. Okay, pretty simple. Real which is true, which is not unreal, which is not false. That's the dictionary meaning. And the other thing other meaning which I have used is real is something which we can feel through the senses, what we call empiricism. It's okay if you do not know the meaning of empiricism. It's perfectly okay. Empiricism just means that those things which you can feel by your 5 senses. So things such as, for example, this pen, I can touch it, I can hear its sound, I can smell it. The skin, my skin, I can touch my skin, I can feel it. So these things, if I pinch it, I will feel the pain. So these are the things which you can feel through your senses. This is what has been equated to real apart from this. So these are the 2 meanings of real here. And rational is something which has withstood the test of reasoning. So in a certain sense, something which is logical, something where you have arrived by virtue of logics. So in this essay, what you have to discuss is that those things which are rational, those things are true, those things are real, those things are not false. Okay, that is the idea which you have to discuss in this essay. See, if we go back in history and dig the grave of Hegel, bring him out and ask him what is the meaning of rational, his meaning of rational may be different. And to be honest, in disciplines like sociology or philosophy, the meaning of words such as rational, rationality, rationalization, rationalism, these words which look similar, the meaning is sometimes quite different in these disciplines. Now you do not need to get into the depth of these disciplines to find out what's the difference in these words is. You just refer to them what we get the meaning in the real world, in the present world. Okay, and on the basis of that you should write your essay. So let's come back to this essay topic and let's start reading this essay. I hope this would help you. And I would rather take you to the page number 2, and that is the place where I have discussed the core idea of this essay. After that I will again come back to the page number 1 and start from the beginning. So this is here. If rationality is equated with reasoning, then the topic seems to suggest that true reality is something which will withstand the test of reasoning. That is, with the strength of rationality you can realize the truth. And similarly, if something has passed the litmus test of rationality, then it can't be a lie or deception. Okay, I hope that's the topic is somewhat clear to you. Now in this particular video, I will focus more on reading the topic and less discussion. Otherwise, this video would stretch to an hour if I do both the things together. So my more focus would be on reading the script of this essay, okay, and less discussion. So how to introduce this essay? That's the topic. That's the point here. So let's see. Humanity, since the dawn of civilization, had a quest to understand the world around her. Can this world be understood through logic, or can it be understood through our senses? Or should something else be the source of our knowledge? Does the world exist in real, or is it only a part of our imagination? We will discuss such questions in the light of the topic, the real is rational and the rational is real, though not necessarily in the context in which it might have been originally stated. So by writing these lines, though not necessarily in the context in which it might have been originally stated, I have made this thing explicitly clear to the examiner that my interpretation of the essay would not be same as that of Hegel or whosoever the person was who had said this thing. The statement was not required. You could have left this statement also, but I used it to be safe. And why I was playing so safe on that day, I think that day when I was writing this essay, I wrote this essay around 15-20 days ago, and I was having terrible fever. The day before writing this essay, I was having a fever of 102.7 Fahrenheit, and everyone in the family was also sick, and we were thinking that we are all having COVID. The situation was really very grim at that point of time, and the weather was very horrible. It was very cold, and situation was very bad, and there was no sunshine during the daytime. Very drizzling all the time, drizzling and rain. The weather was very depressing, and in that depressing environment at night I wrote this essay. And though I was not having fever on the day, but I was still very weak. So when you have that kind of a mind, when you're not happy, when you're slightly surrounded by a very depressive atmosphere, you tend to be very safe. You come on the back foot. You don't make lofty shots. You rather play on the defensive mode. So I think if I'm given a chance to write this essay again, I might write it very differently now. But okay, if time permits, I will write this essay again. But as of now, let's go through this essay, and I'm sure that this is going to help you. So I'll continue from the previous point that we will discuss such questions in the light of the topic though not necessarily in the context in which it might have been originally stated. What we see around us, is it truth, or are we surrounded by a false perception of reality? If rationality is equated with reasoning, then the topic seems to suggest that true reality is something which will withstand the test of reasoning, that is, with the strength of rationality, you can realize the truth. And similarly, if something has passed the litmus test of rationality, then it can't be a lie or deception. But what about our senses? Should we not trust what we see or what we hear? Perhaps not, because our senses often deceive us. Our senses often deceive us. For example, a rope lying on the ground in dark can appear to us as a snake. The doubt regarding such an object can be cleared if we apply our mind and throw a stone on it to check whether it moves or not. Okay, let's move further. So far, I have been writing in a very conservative manner, on the back foot, trying to find where the idea of this topic is coming from, and then also stating that this essay discussion would stretch beyond the context in which it was stated. So now I would leave that conservative approach and now discuss this essay and relate it to the contemporary times. Such philosophical questions are important to discuss in this 21st century because in the age of social media, market and despotic governments around the world, it has become difficult for the masses to separate reality from deception. In the words of famous poet वसीम बरेलवी, वो झूठ बोल रहे थे बड़े सलीके से, मैं एतबार ना करता तो क्या करता. They were speaking lies with such conviction. What else could I have done besides trusting them? Okay. So if you have followed me on YouTube channel, or you have been my student, you would have noticed that how often I use this couplet. It's good. It's a nice habit to have some couplets and use them. Let those couplets sink in you, that poetry sink in you, so that you can use them wherever you can. And this poem I had used in an essay last year, model answer, related to mindfulness is a manifesto to tranquil self, something like that. Then the same I also used this year in topic number 1, that self-realization we have outsourced to technology, something like that. See, the point is, wherever there is a topic which concerns this idea of how in our present generations we are making mistake between finding out what is truth or what is wrong, and how we are misled by the state, the market, etc. There we can use this couplet, and that is what I do. Thus, when so much lies, I will continue reading the topic. Thus, when so much lies are spread around us by technology, advertisement, and propagandas, it becomes important to invoke our rationality on a constant day-to-day basis to save ourselves from falling in the trap of a fictitious world. Nobel laureate T.S. Eliot lamented the same in his work called Wasteland, referring to how the modern world lives in what he calls unreal cities of London, Paris, Jerusalem, Athens, etc. Okay, so this poem of Wasteland, it's my favorite poem, and here I'm trying to integrate my knowledge from philosophy, from sociology, from literature, and merge them together to give a very 360 view. And this poem, Wasteland, I have often said in my videos that you should read it. Someday I will try to explain you this poem. It's a wonderful one. Okay, now we'll proceed further. But the relationship between real and unreal becomes complex when we have a glance at the track record of rationality in human history. Now, to explore further dimensions, I will question the rationality itself. Will the world be saved if we trust rationality? Is rationality sacrosanct? Science and rationality are not immune from propagandas. The anti-Semitic movement in Nazi-controlled German society in 1930s and 1940s drew heavily from the so-called anthropological research of races to prove the superiority of German race. Children in school were systematically indoctrined, citing scientific evidences. When years later such children grew up into soldiers and killed the Jews in concentration camps, they were just listening to the faculties of their rationality. Also, science and rationality eat up that vital space in human heart where emotions and compassions are supposed to reside. Thus, what is rational sometimes may not be real. This is an extra dimension which I am exploring. And now further extra dimensions I would explore. Can we go a step further and say that what is unreal could be not irrational but rational? An example of that: art doesn't claim to be truth, but sometimes art is a lie which tells us what should be considered rational. Okay, now don't say कि sir आपने ये ideas कहाँ से डाल दिए. These ideas I have used, and I can say that you could have also used, because in one video discussion of an essay in 2020, I think in July or June or July, the topic was art is a lie which tells the deception. There I had used this point which I am using here, that art is a lie. Art is a lie because art never claims to be truth. Art is a piece of imagination. But sometimes that art, that is the novels, dramas, cinema, etc., these things tell us how our so-called rationality is wrong. That is our so-called logics which we are applying in real world they are wrong. Okay, so in that discussion I had also invoked Hegel and his focus on ideas and consciousness. Okay, but okay, let's come back to this topic. When Europeans invaded India and Africa, they justified their rule on the rationale that they were on a civilizing mission. They made attempts to convince the natives of the theory of white man burden and how the whites were needed to rescue the Asians and Africans from darkness and backwardness. Then the world of art and literature came forward to rescue the natives by busting the false logics of colonizers. In India, novelists such as Deenbandhu Mitra, through his novels such as Neel Darpan, through his novels such as the Neel Darpan, showed the plight of indigo workers and uncovered the horrors of British rule in India. Similarly, other forms of art such as dramas, songs, poems, etc. were written by colonized people around the world to show how the so-called Western rationality was devised to rob them of their wealth, status and respect. Sometimes good cinemas tell us how wrong as a society we are to have normalized discrimination and oppression of a certain people. The point is that something as unreal as art at times can tell us what should be true rationality. I repeat, something as unreal as art at times can tell us what should be true rationality. Okay. Now next point I would be making, rationality is important, but it is equally important that how that rationality comes to a human mind. Also, rationality should not become a tool to claim your truth as superior to the truth of others. These are some of the points which I have often explained in my test series discussions. Also provided them in model answers. So, also rationality should not become a tool to claim your truth as superior to the truth of others. It must not become a pretext to unleash cultural colonization. In the modern world, we are living in a pluralist society where the infinite numbers of different social groups may have their own versions of what they consider as truth. They all may have different rationales and they all need to be treated with respect. Like groups, individuals also carry different consciousness and their realities vary accordingly. For example, now I think when I was writing this essay there was very less time left, like 5 or 6 minutes. See, when I write these model answers, I situate myself in similar circumstances just like the students. I write these essays every year. I write these model answers for two main reasons, so that you people can be helped, that they are beneficial to you, and secondly that whatever lessons I give you as part of essay writing, those lessons are not removed from reality, so that I remind myself of the experiences of writing an essay, how difficult it is when a student has to write an essay. So whatever lessons I give you for essay writing, they are very much practical. They are those lessons which I have applied, and based on my experiences of every year I share those lessons with you. So okay, let's come forward. For example, a wooden bed may not be seen as the same entity by 4 different individuals. A person who had his relative succumbing to death due to COVID on that bed would see the bed as a symbol of grief and sickness. A person who was abused of violence while being tied to the bed would see it as a place of violence. A person who had delight of the first few days of wedding on that bed would be delighted to see it, and the carpenter who constructs the bed would see it entirely differently from others. So what we see as real is often influenced by our past experiences, resident emotions and ideological inclinations. The point which I am making here is that wooden bed, it appears to be same as far as sight is concerned. The visuals of a wooden bed is same to all these four people. Its smell is same, its touch is same, but still all these four people will see the bed very differently based on their experiences and their thoughts. The bed would mean very different things to these four people. The examples which I have given here. So this is one aspect which I am dealing here. Now I'm moving towards conclusion here. It is difficult to say that truth is absolute. It is difficult to say that truth is absolute. Truth depends upon our relative positions. Rationality brings some kind of order and stability in our thought process so that we become better equipped to focus on truth and distill lies from it. So, importance of rationality here. Senses are important, but they can't tell us the truth. In absence of rationality, they are prone to misjudgments and vulnerable to worldly temptations. While rationality brings stability in our perception, senses can create chaos and anarchy. Rationality is vital to reach to truth, and thus it's all the more important to ensure that rationality is not corrupted in the first place. Rationality needs not a day but years to evolve. It takes practice, dedication, and sacrifice to cultivate true rationality and to strengthen it to an extent where we can override the temptations and deceptions of worldly senses with a calm, serene, and rational mind. Now, the last paragraph. In a world which is increasingly creating lies and deception around us in the name of market, technology, and materialism, it is vital that we be rational to be the real. It is vital that we be rational to be the real. And with this, I have ended this essay here. So you see that I'm making a reference to a point which I had discussed towards the beginning. Not exactly in the beginning, but towards the beginning, to give an impression that I'm closing where I ended. So, so this was the essay script. This is just one of the ways in which this essay could have been written. This essay could have been written in different ways, in many different ways, in hundreds of thousands of ways. Every student would write it very differently. In fact, if I'm given a chance to write this essay again, I would today write it very differently than how I had written that day when I was having some sort of weakness and fever and drizzling rain, etc. Or even again, the reason is that these words, real, rational, their meaning is not fixed. Even when you are writing the meaning, even when you're writing the essay, the meaning in your mind, they keep changing. That's the beauty of philosophical essays. The lesson which I want to give you is when you have to write a philosophical essay on a topic like this, never make your mind rigid. Keep it relaxed. Understand that what you are writing may not necessarily be true as per the thought of some person, but have faith on yourself. Okay, so with this I would end here, and I hope this was beneficial to you all. Okay, so please provide your feedback and subscribe to this channel, and please hit the bells icon so that you can be notified when I come up with the next video. And if you want, you can take benefits of the essay program, which I'm coming from time to time. Check in the description box when the next essay program is there. So with this all, thank you all. I hope this was beneficial. Take care. Good luck.